You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, it is Thursday, all day long. It's Thursday. All God's children got a Thursday right now. And we like to call that Friday Eve.
Yes, we do.
And Boomer's on the board. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Friday Eve.
All right, you're not sneezing on the board over there today.
No sneezing on the board, but there's some definite allergies going on over here.
Well, you know where your mute button is.
Exactly.
All right, welcome to Friday Eve. We got some good stuff laid on for you, not the least of which is my favorite thing of every week. At 3:30 today, Boomer and McQueen. McQueen would be his lovely three-quarters. And yeah, she comes in. The two of them have opinions, and they're good at sharing them. I just enjoy sitting back and hearing what they have to say. So we'll do Boomer McQueen today at 3:30. You're going to want to stay tuned for that one. And then I got a triple dipper. Hit it, buddy.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, you got to know as we run today's show. So here's the deal. Number 1, right out the gate. Silence is not golden. There are about 15 different special ways that they are trying to silence the voice of conservatives right now. And I am not even kidding. I mean, we got them doing what they can to get conservative voices off of talk radio. We got stuff like government-sponsored censorship. We got campus protests for anybody who dares to be a conservative on campus. We got yada, yada, yada. I got a whole bunch of them. So we're going to talk about it. Number 1 on the Triple Dipper, I'm calling it silence is not golden. Yeah, we don't need to be forced into silence because someone is uncomfortable or triggered by an opinion that happens different from anybody else's. So we'll talk about it. Silence is not golden, number 1 of the Triple Dipper. Number 2, carnivores rule. Carnivores rule. I mean, it's just the way of the world, right? Carnivores, they rule. Well, unless you're a liberal. And then, are you really a carnivore if you eat bugs? I don't know. Are they meat? Is they a class by themselves? Have we found a new food group? And then on top of that, what happens when you get into school lunches and they won't even let you have meat because the agenda is being forced in our schools? I got all of it. Number 2 on the Triple Dipper, carnivores rule. And then number 3, the terrorist safe haven. So Afghanistan, the pullout, 2021, complete debacle. It has gone downhill since then, so much so that even the UN is talking about pulling out. And some are declaring it now officially a renewed terrorist safe haven. So y'all stay tuned. We'll talk about that as number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, let me jump over to my comments now. So, all right, I know there's a bunch of you out there that are going to recognize exactly what I'm about to say. Any of you old school Army guys? You probably had that time where you had to get your official Department of the Army photo made for your personnel file, right? You put on your best Class A uniform, you polish up your brass, spit shine your low quarters, make sure your hair is in regulation, and you head down to the official DA photo lab. Now, I've seen some good ones and some not so good ones, but everybody always knew the right dude at the right photo lab who would take good care of you. You know what I'm saying? I knew one guy who you go in to get your photo made, he would tape down your lapels, pin back your jacket so that everything looked trim and neat in the photo. But there were times when apparently some of these guys would, help out the dudes who were pushing the limits on body fat regulations and sort of work some graphic design magic to make them look thinner in the picture so the promotion board would see, not really them. Hey, how'd Joe get picked up by the board? We can all see he's been in the Twinkies. You know what I'm saying? Right. Well, it was photo lab magic. That's how. So hold that thought. And let me ask you this. Have you ever seen The Hunger Games? It's actually a series of movies based off the best-selling novels of the same name. The story doesn't actually say that the dystopian world that is featured in The Hunger Games is a post-apocalyptic version of the United States, but you kind of gather that fact as the story progresses. And the world as we know it is a series of semi-isolated and somewhat third-world versions of portions of the U.S., right? Each of the isolated zones are called districts. The one ruling district is known as the capital. The capital controls everything. The capital controls the local economies. The capital controls the narratives. The capital just plain controls. I'm not going to try and tell the whole story. It's not my point. What I wanted to bring out was the capital's desperate need for control and what they did to one of the main characters whose name was PETA. At some point, PETA was captured by the capital. They did who knows what to him. What we do know is they implanted fake memories in his mind, so much so that he had a hard time discerning what was real and what was not real. In fact, he would struggle to tell what was what and actually look to one of the other characters in the movie and ask, real or not real? But all he could do was trust what they told him. He could no longer tell for himself what was real and what wasn't real. It was as if he had a permanent version of man-made delusional schizophrenia. It made his character pretty pitiful for a while. It made him untrustworthy. And of course, it also made the capital seem even more evil for doing that to him. I mean, real, not real. What a horrible thing for one person to do to another, right? Well, the problem we have right now is way bigger than a DA photo lab helping you out with your weight control in your picture. The problem we really have right now is becoming something that we as everyday citizens are starting to face on a regular basis. So a story came out just this morning on Fox, and it's a bit creepy, I'll be honest. As someone, me, who has lived in this public eye, I know what it feels like to have someone lie about you on social media or run a clickbait fake news story about you. As someone who has maintained a high-level security clearance, me again, for many years, I know what it means to have clean and clear records for background checks and why it's necessary. As someone, me again, who has worked with abused kids in the past, I've seen what happens to people's lives when they are the victims of someone else's sociopathic indifference. And as someone who has practiced law now for 2 decades, I know the value of having quality, admissible evidence that has a clear chain of custody and it can be validated for use in a court of law. All of this experience tells me, like the article from Fox this morning, that we are heading down a very dangerous road with artificial intelligence. It gets way bigger than just whether somebody can modify their photo for a promotion. It gets way bigger than just a thought in a movie that someone says real or not real. It gets into real life. The article from this morning, if you want to look it up, was called How Deepfakes Are on the Verge of Destroying Political Accountability. Well, according to the author, AI-generated pictures and videos and voices are all called deepfakes, and they're so believable and so widely available that people will soon not be able to discern between real and not real. The author interviewed an expert from the University of California who pointed out that the level of technology in AI is getting to the point that if you were to see a candidate for president, for example, giving a speech in a video, that it would become a lingering doubt that it might really be him speaking. Just recently, we had fake images of the Pope, fake mugshots of Donald Trump, even manipulated images of battlefield damages from the war in Ukraine. The article goes on to say that Intel analysts insist that deepfakes could potentially impact public opinion and even future elections. It creates the issue that we could also see videos, photos, or hear voice recordings that indicate that someone has done or said something that is a violation of the law or the rules of ethics, only to find out later on it never even happened. Lives can be ruined by fake evidence that is admitted in a criminal trial. Altered voice recordings of someone saying something could be used to indicate their culpability when the recordings were not even true. So with this level of deepfake, the average person is going to find themselves having to ask, real or not real? But who's going to give them the answer? At that point, once you have to ask, you're only faced with a few options. Either A, you believe the deepfake, or B, you choose not to believe the deepfake, or C, you don't know what to think, so you just ignore it because everything is suspect now. Well, this is not good. If we as a society get to the point that deepfakes are so common that we begin to disregard everything because we don't know what is real or not real, then have we really devolved to the point then that nothing else matters? You know, you can't hold any politician accountable because you can't tell what's real or not real, so you quit trying to hold politicians accountable altogether. In essence, if nothing can be said to be real, then nothing can be said to be unreal. And therefore, nothing can be done one way or the other, so the world stops trying to pursue actual accountability. People go to jail for things they didn't do. Criminals get off scot-free because the evidence looked different than it should have. And suddenly, the days of fake news look pretty good, don't they? Because we can at least track down the truth in most fake news efforts. If everything is real, then nothing is. If everything can be fake, then nothing matters. Artificial intelligence may have some wonderful applications to science and medicine and more, but in the world of evidence and in the world of holding people accountable for their actions, Our AI is creating a dystopian, forced societal schizophrenia where we have to find ourselves asking constantly, is that real or not real? And we better get a hold of this right now while we still can. Somebody show me where the plug is. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Well, yeah, and I'll tell you what, this stuff creeps me out, man. If you've seen the interview with Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk, Tucker asked him flat out, is it possible that artificial intelligence could become a threat to humanity? And his response was basically, yes, it's conceivable that it could. And that we better put some parameters in place so that AI doesn't get to just run amok and do what it wants to do. Someone, somewhere, has got to have a handle on the plug so they can pull it if we have to. Before Skynet becomes self-aware, we can't tell what's real and not real. Living inside the Matrix. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Boomer, is this real or not real? Is this my voice? I mean, just
it is you, because I see your lips moving. This is not a computer.
No, this is not. This is real. Absolutely real. I'll be honest with you, that stuff creeps me out, man. I don't mean like I'm running around panicking, but I look at it and think, that's legitimately a problem. As an attorney, what if I went to court and somebody brought a photograph of my client and I have to go, I don't know. How do I deal with this? My client says, that never happened. I wasn't there. Well, the picture looks like you were. I mean,
it just makes so many things hairy now. It's like you can't differentiate.
Yeah. It's not good.
No,
it's not good at all. I think it's going to be an issue on evidence. I think it's going to be an issue in politics. Suddenly you're going to have like Joe Biden. We call him Sleepy Joe or whatever. Right? All of a sudden they have an image that looks like he's energetic and running up and down stairs, and and it's not real. It's just. And the next thing you know, you get this tired, phlegmatic, octogenarian who, anyway. All right. Text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. I got a ton of texts already. Apparently that one struck a nerve. So JT from Lacey Springs texted in and says, AI mimicking seems to already exist. He said a retired vet acquaintance says, watch Biden's talks. His opinion is some are computer generated. Oh, that's interesting. Personally, he said, I can't watch him long enough to create an opinion. So, I will say this, and it's got a little creep factor to it. Look at pictures of Joe Biden 10 years ago and look at him now. He does not look the same. He does not. Have you noticed that?
I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, yes. just compare and contrast, because I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of Botox in this world, but daggum. I mean, so something somewhere changed. I mean, there's old boys had some doings, is what I think. But nonetheless, like there was one time when he was running for president back in 2016, the primary against Hillary Clinton, where it was obvious he'd had so much Botox he couldn't even bring his eyebrows down. It's like he just sat there with his eyebrows up around his hairline. But wow, John from Huntsville texted in, Phil, did that rocket explode? Yeah, breaking news. So kind of a weird situation. SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, just launched the largest, most powerful launcher in the world, in the history of the world. And they got it up to altitude, and it began to tumble, and then it blew up. And my thought is, that's horrible. That's a bad. But I'm hearing the crowd cheer. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Apparently, what they wanted was the data from the launch itself, and the rocket was considered expendable. Yeah, and I saw one report right before I came on the air that said that the tumbling began to happen, and so they self-detonated it in order to avoid it being able to thrust back down towards Earth, and make a high-impact landing.
Well, that's good.
I guess interesting to know that people have a blow-up button on their project. Beep. Yeah, like so. Boomer, watch out for that red button over there to your right.
Don't hit it.
Yeah. We took a tumble and Boomer went in and blew up the studio. We actually do have one button, though, that you're not allowed to touch.
No, I'm not allowed to.
It's only there.
It's only there for emergencies.
That's right. Special occasions. Anita from South Huntsville texted in and says, don't forget that once a few fakes become mainstream, legitimate actual evidence will simply be denied as AI fakes as well. I agree. See, that's just it. If everything could be fake, then nothing could be real, or vice versa. That's the concern. You're exactly right, Anita. Says Hunter Biden's laptop be deemed a proven deep fake instead of Russian disinformation. Yeah, I see it. Robert from Madison says, instead only try and realize the truth. What truth? That there is no spoon. What is that from? Is that from Alice in Wonderland?
That's Matrix. Oh, there is no spoon.
There is. See, this is what I'm talking about. We're all just batteries and we don't know it. All right. Phil, this is Gray Falcon from Ardmore. Phil, the deep fake thing is also compounded by the fact that we already live in a society where our media chooses to censor by omission or editing or whatever they see fit to already confuse the issues. Point well taken, Gray Falcon. You're getting ahead of me because I got a whole section on that coming up here in just a minute. Jeff from Green Hill, Alabama. I'm telling you, man, the text lines.
They're
okay.
it's just a list.
Is this where I say blow up and you hit the sound effect?
Oh, yeah.
The text lines just blew up. There you go. Real, not real. That was not a real explosion. That was AI. Okay. Jeff in Green Hill says, time usually tells us what and who's real, but with AI, it's going to get really hard. Yes, sir. You are correct. Adam from Decatur. Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes' movie, The Rising Sun from the 80s, highlighted deepfake. Crazy how science fiction. I tell you what else highlighted it. Remember the movie Wag the Dog? They created a war zone image of a little girl running scared through bomb damage, and the whole thing was computer generated, and then they used that to declare the need to go to war. And what they did was really distract from a scandal inside the White House. That's why it's called Wag the Tail was wagging the dog. That's why the movie's called Wag the Dog.
Wow.
Yeah. Johnny from Fayette, who's to say AI hasn't already affected elections? Good point. Well, we do know that if you hide in the basement long enough, you can get away with pretty much anything. Anyway. Hey, by the way, breaking news, Johnny from Fayette also points out, I just saw it too before the show started, and this is a total change of subject, bear with me, but in Dadeville, they have now arrested a fourth person. Now, they've not made known all the charges. We don't know if all four of the subjects, two of which are 20-year-olds, one is 17, one is 16. We don't know for a fact whether they were all shooters or whether some were just in some way accomplices, driving the getaway car, who knows. But so far, 4 arrests, charges left to be made known fully, and we'll check on that and let you know if we find out more. All right, we're coming right back. First part of the Triple Dipper. The whole thing about AI, that's just one way they mess up the messaging. Silence is not golden. I'm going to tell you about the various ways being used right now to try and silence conservatives and what we got to do about it. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. I'm talking about we covered down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. That'd be this one, Alabama. Oh, man, this show broadcasts way on down south of Birmingham, up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to gas parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, thrown in just for good measure. All right, let's move forward here. First part of the Triple Dipper. Silence is not golden. Unless, and I will let him remain unnamed, unless, as one of our texters just said, your 29-year-old has just moved back in with her parents, and now silence would be really golden if we could have it back. Anyway, I'm leaving you unnamed, brother. I'm doing that for a reason. But no, so the reality is, though, the conservative voice, the ability to get out there with the conservative message, the ability to move forward, is under attack, but it's from a variety of angles. I mean, like, it's everywhere. Have you ever heard that song, Boomer, by Michael W. Smith, called Surrounded?
Oh, yeah.
This is how we fight our battles.
Oh, that is Pax's favorite.
Oh, is it really?
His favorite song.
No kidding.
Yes.
You dead little man, it's one of mine, too.
Yeah, I mean, he sings it all around the house.
Does he really?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, so if you're not familiar, you guys out there listening, if you're not familiar, very cool song by Christian recording artist Michael W. Smith, I would encourage you, just listen to it one time. You'll be hooked. And by the way, it's also one of those that if you got a song stuck in your head you want to get rid of, this is one that helps you get rid of it. It's one of those great songs that you don't mind hearing, and it helps you get rid of the other songs. But yeah, it's called Surrounded, and it literally says, "This is how we fight our battles." You may think that I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you, and he's talking to God. But anyway, the bottom line is the enemy comes at us from a variety of angles, right? I mean, there's no singular focus. It's not like a force-on-force frontline head-to-head battle. It's asymmetric warfare. They're coming in from a variety of different angles here. Well, so conservatives are facing that right now at every turn. The media is doing all it can on one side. Government action to censor and ban on another side. Social media platforms doing their thing over here. Campus freedom of speech issues left and right because conservatives are not allowed to have a voice on a campus. It keeps on going. Well, they've got other techniques they're using right now, not the least of which is a brand new movement, I kid you not, to do away with AM radio. What? Come on. So this show right now, we currently broadcast in a variety of mediums. So like we're one of many. We live stream the show online. You can see it right now at rightsideradio.org. We live stream it in video and in audio. We also podcast it, so there's that. And then we, of course, have the streaming video, I think I just said. And then we also broadcast live AM and FM. And those two mediums are still the bread and butter of virtually every conservative news talk. There's studies out there by the Nielsen organization, and they say that right now 91% of all Americans are touched by radio every month. And that of those, 82%, something like that, of all Americans are touched by radio every week. Radio is a big, hairy deal. And AM radio has been around a lot longer. There's frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, AM, FM. They both have their unique characteristics. Why are they both still around? Because they both can reach you differently. And if you've ever noticed, you can get atmospheric skip on a signal from AM. Sometimes you can hear a channel from Chicago or whatever else. There's different ranges and capabilities. And oh, by the way, they're useful for a variety of things, not just conservative voice, but they're also useful to do things like, how about emergency broadcasting? Yeah. Well, National Association of Broadcasters. So I pulled this, it came out 2 days ago. The National Association of Broadcasters is calling for the Congress to get involved with the fact that there is a movement afoot right now to basically just take down AM radio in general. I mean, you can have AM stations, which are licensed by the FCC, the federal government, but if they don't put AM receivers in cars, if you can't buy an AM radio, think about it. When's the last time you went and bought a cassette? Okay. Can you buy a cassette player? How do you find a cassette player nowadays? Well, it's not like cassettes stopped playing music. It's just that cassettes began to be less useful in some people's minds. They moved to a new platform. And so manufacturers decided, let's stop making cassette players. No more cassette players for us. Well, so gone are the days. Well, what they're trying to do right now is something similar with AM radio, which, by the way, many, many people still listen to. Many of our listeners listen to. So during the welcome session at the National Association of Broadcasters show just last week, the CEO is a guy named Curtis Legate. And Curtis Legate discussed a wide range of topics, it says, including the importance of keeping radio in the car dashboard and specifically defending AM radio, and it's important for emergency services and remote areas. That's right. Remote areas can get AM signals sometimes better than they can get FM. Legate also promoted the importance of local broadcasting, the work of local journalists at a moment of intense competition, technological evolution, and innovation. So what he's saying there is this. AM radio often reaches the areas that not everybody else can. AM radio also participates in the emergency broadcasting signals that are necessary to alert our populace when something bad is happening. And then AM radio is also where a lot of times people can tune in to get local stuff, or at least stuff that speaks to kind of where they are. Like this show, we speak to local, national, state, all of it. Well, the Nielsen rankings again. Not only do 91% of all Americans get touched by radio, but of those, I want to say something like 64% that listen to radio, listen to it periodically throughout the day. And of those 64%, a very high percentage also want to hear something that talks about where they are. That's why this show is, I hesitate to say it too loud, is beating Sean Hannity in the same market, because Hannity's got a great show. But people want to know what's happening where I live. All right. So he focused on the fact that this is happening. Because why is this a big deal? Because what we've just learned is in the last couple of weeks, multiple major automobile manufacturers are claiming that they're going to take AM radio out of their cars. Let me hand that to Boomer real quick. Thank you, bud. So Sean Hannity came out. Oh, I just talked bad about Sean Hannity. No, I didn't. I just said, what a great show he has. We're just happen to be beating it in the same market. There you go. Sean Hannity, New York Post quotes the fact that the other day, April 14th, so that was what, 6 days ago? Fox News' Sean Hannity sounding the alarm about the growing trend in the auto industry to remove AM radio from new electric vehicles. Oh, see? It's electric vehicles. Friggin' electric vehicles. All right. His words, he says, it's not that complicated to put a radio system in that allows you to have AM, FM, Sirius, or the ability to plug in your own music and stream it from your own phone. He says people want more options, not less options, and I agree with that. And this will be a direct hit politically on conservative talk radio in particular, which is what most people go to AM radio to listen to. So yeah, Ford, Volkswagen, BMW, Mazda, Volvo, and Tesla all say they're taking AM radio out of their vehicles because it creates a buzzing noise and interferes with the electronics in the battery-operated vehicles. What? You're telling me that you can build a battery-operated vehicle, but you don't have the smarts to not, create static in your AM radio? I remember when I was, you know what? That reminds me. I had the same. Hang on a second. I'm having a flashback. I'm almost positive in my '68 Mustang, I had a feedback issue in my radio, and I went and bought a little thing at Radio Shack. Oh man, I'm dating myself now. That reduced the static by. Somebody smarter than me out there is listening to this going, oh, Phil, it was just this thing. And anyway, there's things they can fix this is what I'm trying to say. But Hannity went on to say, since the federal government grants licenses to radio stations, that Congress now has the responsibility then to protect that which they oversee, and they should not allow political agendas to be behind this. And he points out, and I agree, he said, this is what I call part of the Biden New Green Deal climate alarmist religious cult. They want to take away our gas stove. They want to take away our refrigerator. They want to take away a whole host of other things. Now they're going to force us to buy electric vehicles that cost dramatically more. And in doing so, we're not going to have AM radios. So anyway, that's happening. So in the multi-pronged attack against conservative voices, one of the first ones we see is that they're pushing to get rid of AM radio. Really? Yes. And it's happening now, so much so that major corporations are dropping it from their vehicles, and the National Association of Broadcasters is calling on Congress to get involved. We'll see where that goes. I got more, like what happened to the Daily Wire? Did you hear what Daily Wire? Multiple attacks on the Daily Wire They're being deplatformed. They're being demonetized. It's one of the ways they try to silence conservative voices. It's part of being totally surrounded, but we got to keep standing up. And we're heading to a break right now. We will be right back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. And we're back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down on some ground across the northern half of this state. So, hey, listen, I had multiple people on the text line who just clarified for me that yes, I'm not crazy. I do recall back in the day my '68 Mustang. I had so as it Brian from Huntsville says the whine that you experienced was an alternator feedback, and I think that's probably true. Don from Jackson County just texted in with regards to AM. He says I had to switch back and forth from AM to FM a couple of times a day, driving from Huntsville to Skyline. One goes static, the other one clears up. What else we got there? I know somebody else says, Wiley from Gunnersville says, yeah, in older cars, a set of well-used points or a bad condenser in the distributor would cause a buzz on the AM radio. Yes. See, I remember this. I was just having flashbacks. Jeff from Indiana said, yeah, I had a static eliminator too. I had to put it on my coil, which they don't have coils anymore. There you go. Raven from Russell, same thing. Says condensers solve the noise from the AM radio. Okay. I got the smart audience, most of whom drove old cars like me. That's good. All right. So one of the ways they take down the voice, I say silence is not golden. One of the ways they try and take down the conservative voice, what happens when they get rid of, if they ever got rid of AM? By the way, I think they got a ways to go before they can just get rid of it. But it's kind of like not being able to buy a cassette player anymore. If you don't have it in your car, what do? It's not there. You have to have a special installation. Well, we can't do that in your electronic vehicle. Well, then I don't want your freaking electronic vehicle. How about that? You want AM that bad? Maybe I do. But yeah, so one of the ways they try to get rid of your voice is AM radio. The next one, what is happening right now, we hear about cancel culture. We hear about remember when Parler kind of came up out of nowhere and it's like everybody was just super excited, generated, oh man, this is going to be the way we get away from liberal Twitter.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I even set up a Parler account one weekend and couldn't use it on Monday because it went away. They just literally deplatformed that bad boy. Who was it? I think it was it Google and
Apple? Was it Apple?
It may have been. They took them off the Apple store. I know.
Right.
You couldn't download the app anymore. Anyway, Daily Wire. So probably the giant right now in like Rightside Radio, we're a separate business. All right, we can do our own podcasting. We produce our own show. We send out the signal to our syndicated channels. But the giant in the industry in that regard is Daily Wire. That's like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and those guys, Michael Knowles. Well, they have become the giants, and that makes them the biggest target. So right now, their CEO is a guy named Jeremy Boring, and Jeremy Boring just shot back at big tech, saying that what we're seeing right now is a serious effort by groups like YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. They're all trying to do massive over-fact checking. In other words, anything Daily Wire says gets labeled as hazardous or fact-checked or deplatformed or shut down because we don't know for a fact, and then brought back up 3 days later when the news has become stale. Yeah, pretty cheesy. But then they've also begun to demonetize them. Because when you begin to make money doing this kind of thing, you find the way to monetize your platform. People want to place ads with you. They want to be the ones who insert the ads in your YouTube videos or whatever else because it's good for their business, and oh, by the way, that's good for yours. They're deplatforming and demonetizing, and they're even facing bans. They've got companies out there who specialize in trying to go after conservative viewpoints and make sure that companies know what we'll do to you if you advertise with them. Yeah. So right now, it also comes in the wake of Matt Walsh, who some of y'all know is the guy who actually lives in Nashville, who has been leading the charge against the whole transgender movement. And Matt Walsh has had his entire Twitter account and all of his emails for the last 20 years hacked. And nobody knows to the extent that it happened. This is happening right now. So you got an electronic assault on Daily Wire, who makes its living, by the way, being an electronic medium. They're not a print source, all right? They're out there doing the thing. They're the giant version of what Rightside does. And Matt Walsh, it says, was also demonetized on YouTube for violating some capricious rule that we don't even know what it was. And then Michael Knowles, well, that leads me to the next part. So you got the effort by the platforms to take you down. You got the efforts by major manufacturers who are pushing the electronic vehicles that the Biden administration says you have to have won't put AM radio in the cars anymore. So much so that the National Broadcasters Association is saying this is a big, hairy deal and Congress needs to get involved. And as Jeremy Boring from Daily Wire said, what we're facing is flagging, banning, throttling, shadow banning, and demonetizing is a constant occurrence. And by the way, if you ever see something that says Media Matters attached to it, Media Matters and ProPublica, those two right there are funded in part by George Soros. Check them out. ProPublica is allegedly designed to help, find investigative reporters who will go out there and dig up the real news. No, they're not. They're designed to go out there and trash conservative viewpoints and try to dig up fake dirt and sling it. And then you've got Media Matters, which acts like a fact checker. Well, what they do, one of the things they do, Media Matters will pay people to go grab little clips, take them out of context, show them to advertisers, and demand that they not advertise with that company anymore because of something that was half said in a speech. Well, Jeremy Boring says, why do they hate us? Because we're free. Says we're one of the last truly independent media companies. The majority and controlling interest in this company is held by Ben Shapiro, Caleb Robinson, and me. No one can tell us what to publish, what to say, or what to do. No investor or board of directors can maneuver us into acquiescing to their demands. We only express our own, and they know that, and they hate it. All right, so number one, silence is not golden when they take you down off of AM radio. Silence is not golden when you've got the ability to actually message, but they do all they can to deplatform, demonetize, disrupt, and basically make life more difficult. And then you got the one that we're going to talk about when we get back. Like what happened to Matt Walsh the other day, and what happened to Riley Gaines out in San Francisco, and what happened to Michael Knowles, who was just asked to come do a debate at University of Pittsburgh. It's a campus, right? Campuses. College campuses. That's where you go to learn how to be a free thinker, right? That's where you go to learn how to have an analytic mind, where you go and you examine and you assess and you gather all the data and you form your worldview. Unless, of course, your worldview is being thrust upon you by a liberal DEI professor who wants to make sure that you only see one view, and you're also told it's okay to be triggered. That kind of thing where you can't hear something else because it sends you into paroxysms. Well, Matt Walsh was hacked by criminals, and Michael Knowles had to be evacuated from the University of Pittsburgh just a couple of nights ago. You didn't hear much about that on the news, by the way, did you? No. And what was he debating? Liberal agendas. And he was debating it with a libertarian because I want to say if I'm not mistaken, the transgender advocate chose to drop out and not show up because he couldn't face the truth. So once they had their guy off the stage, they came after the conservatives. And I'll tell you how that went down in just a minute. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. By the way, aloha to Rayson in Hawaii, who is listening right now on the text line. Rayson, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for being in the audience, especially way out yonder on the far reaches of U.S. territory. But all right, so man, we got a great audience. I love the idea of saying hey to somebody who's listening live right now in Hawaii.
It's pretty cool.
It's way cool. Yeah, it really is. And we had that young guy from Troy, Michigan, the other day, right? Who was texting in, brand spanking new on the text line.
15 years old,
15 years old, listening from Troy, Michigan. Kind of love that. All right, plenty of stuff on the text line. What else? I'm trying to. Yeah, I remember. Jerry from Decatur remembers going parking while playing with WLS 89 out of Chicago. Okay, Jerry, you are throwing back, man. What else we got here? Plenty of people talking about that whine that I had in the car was alternator feedback. I get it. Okay, so silence is not golden. We're going to take this one down probably to the bottom of the hour. And then, oh, by the way, 3:30, you're going to want to stay tuned, because that's when we have Boomer and McQueen, one of my favorite times every single week. All right, but so silence ain't golden, all right? One of the first efforts that I can see out there is this whole idea of taking down AM radio. The conservative voices all over AM radio. How many liberal talk radio shows are there besides NPR? I can't think of any. And then the second one they do is deplatforming or demonetizing. The third one is what I got right here. I just call it shouting down. So Michael Knowles, who's with the Daily Wire, he was giving a speech as part of a presentation and a debate, really, at the University of Pittsburgh, and a violent riot broke out protesting his speech. Trans activists and other leftists, they even burned an effigy of him outside. They're burning an effigy of a speaker who's inside on a college campus. We're not talking about they're protesting some despot in a third world country, or burning the flag on the streets of some Middle Eastern hotbed. No, we've got college kids in America in Pittsburgh burning an effigy of a conservative speaker who's inside trying to give a speech. And by the way, all these things I talked about with the Daily Wire, that's in the last 48 hours. That story came out yesterday, so it's in the last 54 hours. But yeah, that protest at Pitt, different story on it, came out of a website called Tribe Live. It says protest raged into Tuesday night on the University of Pittsburgh campus during a debate with Daily Wire host Michael Knowles about transgender rights. The university closed off buildings, reported a public safety emergency as a protest crowd grew. An incendiary device went off. Police later described the device as some type of firework. There were no reported injuries. But a body dummy, this is the effigy again, with a picture of Knowles' face was set on fire in the street. And for more than 2 hours, the university sent out tweets saying that some buildings at Pitt were closed, and the university was restricting access to others, including certain residence halls even, and other buildings were temporarily locked down. This is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, get over yourself, the very idea that someone can't come and speak. Secondly, how about this? You're supposed to be there to learn about the big world. And if you think that you're going to go out off that college campus and life's going to be, well, if I have a trigger word, you won't be able to say it. I got news. You're going to get punched right in the mouth. That's life. That is life. There's actually a whole lot of people that just need to understand life a little more. So now we got AM radio, deplatforming, demonetizing, shouting down. What about when government does stuff? Well, Heritage has a piece, Heritage Foundation, came out April 11th, so 9 days ago? Biden's Homeland Security Department is still engaging in censorship. God almighty. So the Department of Homeland Security's infamous Disinformation Governance Board It was disbanded last year, right? Public pressure. We found out we had that nut job who was all about disinformation, and they're going to have an office of what? Censorship here? Well, that went away, or did it? Enter what they call now the Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Just a couple of weeks ago, the director of the Homeland Security Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency is a director named Jen Easterly. She made some very startling comments about her agency controlling the flow of information to the public. Here's what she said. She said, one could argue we're in the business of protecting critical infrastructure, and the most critical infrastructure is our cognitive infrastructure. What does that mean? Cognitive infrastructure. Well, that's just like bureaucratic speak for thought control. Your cognitive infrastructure is very important to us. We feel the need to have to streamline your cognitive. We're going to repave your cognitive infrastructure. We're going to make sure your cognitive infrastructure is up to code. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So you got Biden's Homeland Security Department doing things like, by the way, here's what's interesting too. This director, Jen Easterly, she was supposed to come and speak to Congress. Well, it's funny how, like just before the hearing, her agency whitewashed their website, scrubbed all mentions of things like domestic threat actors, and reworded certain mentions of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation to be less controversial, and then she appeared for the hearing. I mean, people have been seeing it. She was being called in for a reason. Right before she gets there, shabam! Redo the website. Make it look clean. Why? We don't want to talk about cognitive infrastructure anymore? Anyway, that's happening. That's your government, y'all. That is our government. Okay, next on the list. How about when the people who run the universities, the same ones that allow the protests against anyone who would dare speak. By the way, here's the deal. If you don't like the speech, don't go to it. Or stand outside and hold signs and have a prayer vigil or whatever else. But burning effigies and shutting down buildings and lighting off, pyrotechnics, no, that's third world, man. Washington Examiner has a piece, though, right here in Alabama. Did you know, April 5th, just a little over 2 weeks ago, so right here in our listening area, UAH, University of Alabama, Huntsville, UAH had set up what they called speech zones. So if you wanted to say something in public, you can stand over there. Yeah, Boomer just gave me the look. Kid you not. That little spot over there, Boomer, that's where you stand.
Hey, guys, no, stop talking over there, please.
That's exactly right. That little place behind the trees with a soundproof wall in front of it where no one can see you. That's where you stand.
It just happens to look like a corner. I promise it's not. It's not a dunce corner.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, there's a trap door that you might fall through while you're there. The Washington Examiner reports that the conservative libertarian student group called Young Americans for Liberty, represented by the Alliance Defending Freedom and our buddy Matt Clark from the Alabama Center for Law and Liberty, making national news. They went up against UAH and they won. They filed a lawsuit against UAH and its activities for restricting the ability for clubs to operate on campus. On Tuesday, it says they announced that's Tuesday, April 5th, that its lawsuit against the university had been settled. The Circuit Court of Madison County, Alabama, is going to dismiss the lawsuit once the university amends its policies to ensure the entire school qualifies as a free speech zone, which, by the way, is the law in Alabama. So here it is. Silence is not golden when they take you off of AM radio or take away your AM radio. Silence is not golden when they deplatform or demonetize the groups that are trying to get the conservative viewpoint out. Silence is not golden when they show up at your speeches and try to shout you down, burn an effigy of you in the street, and create general chaos that people don't want to come and listen to your speech. Silence is not golden when your government has an office of disinformation and believes that they have the right to safeguard your cognitive infrastructure. Silence is not gold when you have campuses, actual universities, taking action to limit the ways and means by which you're allowed to talk to each other. And that happened right here in Alabama, even though we have a law on the books called the Campus Free Speech Act in Alabama. And lastly, I'll get down to this. Silence is not golden when they take actual legal or legislative action to try and limit your capacity in violation of your free speech, rights under the Constitution. And where else would that happen but California? So just recently, about 5, 6, 7 days ago, the Babylon Bee and another guy named Tim Pool, who is a podcaster, and one other company called Minds Inc., they filed a lawsuit against the state of California because California just passed a new law regulating social media companies and mandatory reporting on efforts to control the flow of information. So Seth Dillon of the Babylon Bee, I love the Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee is hilarious. Babylon Bee, Dillon wrote that the plaintiffs filed the complaint against California Attorney General Rob Bonta to stop state officials from enforcing the new law that took effect this year that requires social media companies to file quarterly reports detailing their content moderation policies. In other words, not, hey, we're going to check in, you guys. We don't want you all limiting speech. No, it's just the opposite. It's we want to know for a fact that you're doing what you can to control misinformation, disinformation, shut down extremism and radicalization and hate speech. Well, guess who gets to decide what's what? State of California. Well, I just all I did was post pictures of my granddaughter's birthday party. I'm sorry, sir, that's ableist. We're taking you down. Well, all I did was post my position on the fact that my granddaughter shouldn't have to compete against a dude in women's sports. Sir, I am sorry. That's hate speech. We're taking you down. Hey, California, we did our job. That's what's happening. This is how they work. Last year, remember Twitter banned the Babylon Bee from social media, and Elon Musk bought them and put them right back in. But if big tech, it says in the article here, if big tech is tasked by the state with eliminating hateful or misinformative content, well, they'll stuff everything they don't like in those categories and then claim they were just trying to do what the law said they had to do. This law can't stand. It can't stand at all. It's got to go. These are the ways by which they attack your ability to speak. These are the ways by which the conservative view gets shut down, when they won't put an AM radio in your car, when they deplatform, demonetize you, when they shout you down on campuses, when the government itself has an office designed just to limit your speech because it's cognitive infrastructure, when legal action or legislative action puts new laws in place, and when campuses like UAH decide they know what free speech is and you can only have it right over there in the corner. I'm just telling you, man, we're surrounded. But you know what? This is how we fight our battles. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative, just plain right, making it cool to be a conservative. We got some brand new folks on the text line. Kim from Fultondale's new. We're glad you're on board. Appreciate you being with us. There's that. I got several things here. Donna from Coleman says, just saw on Twitter that there may be some folks to be let go at Fox News because of what they said about the 2022 elections or 2020 elections. Really? Like Janine Pirro and Maria Bartiromo. That would be absolute bananas because, first of all, I mean, Judge Janine, maybe she's ready to retire anyway, but Maria Bartiromo has got one of the best shows, especially on the weekends. She is spot on, man. Better not happen. John from Huntsville says, hey, Phil, all I got to say about UAH is they got one very long but awesome disc golf course. Well, there you go. I learned how to play on that course when I was about 5 years old. Now I'm confident I could take it on any amateur level disc golfer. I like Frisbee. You ever played Frisbee golf?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not good at it, but I like it.
We got one right down the road here, if you knew that or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
All right. John from Huntsville. I feel a Frisbee golf challenge coming on. Although he's probably going to beat me if we do it. Kim from Fultondale is just in the hopper, like I said before. Thank you very much. John from Brownsboro says, don't forget they unilaterally banned a presidential candidate from social media mere months before the election. I still can't get over that. The Ayatollahs who call for death to America still had their own platform on Twitter, but the president of the United States did not. Let that sink in. Jeff from Indiana talking about California's law says, is Canada trying to annex California? Because you can't talk freely there anymore. That, first of all, they would have to skip over Washington and Oregon, or would they? Maybe it just becomes the whole left coast decides to just become part of Canada and it like trails down towards Mexico. No, by the way, I don't think so. By the way, California, if you're not spending time out there, you talk about a beautiful state. I mean, wow. But their politics are crushing them right now. What, you're about to say something?
I was just going to say, yeah, it is beautiful out there.
Yeah. And your tours went out there?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Yeah. What was your favorite venue when y'all were out there?
Oh, out in California?
Yeah, Boomer was in the country music business, by the way.
There was a amphitheater that was amazing. I want to say it was right outside of L.A. And then there was I actually got to go to the 49ers stadium before the 49ers started playing there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was brand new that summer, and their opening game was not till September.
Whose tour were you on for that one?
It was Kenny Chesney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Little known secret is Boomer was the tour manager for Kenny Chesney.
Not tour manager.
Tour manager. I'm so sorry.
Not for Kenny. No. I was one of the stadium coordinators. So I put together all the stadium dates.
That's just crazy. Did you ever play or go to one at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado?
Red Rocks.
Have you been there?
Man. Now that's beautiful.
Listen, man, I saw a Hillsong concert at Red Rocks. Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
That place makes you believe in God just looking at it.
Yes.
Just
Red Rock, I mean, that's just is gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. Really is. What else we got here on the text line as we wrap up this segment? Mark from Red Bay says, it's sad to think these college students today are going to be the ones running our country tomorrow. Will they, though? Will they? Because right now we seem to elect octogenarians. So the college students may have a long way. Maybe they'll gain some life experience and realize that, you know what? Things ain't as bad as I thought they were. Sama, the truck driver, why does it feel like listening to this show is like a conspiracy fact? Not a conspiracy theory, a conspiracy fact. Thank you, Sama. We appreciate you. JT from Lacey Springs regarding the protests up there at the campus in Pitt says these are pitiful students. Obviously never knew the result of hearing the sound of a leather belt being pulled quickly through the 7 loops of a pair of Levi's. I'm telling you right now, man, my dad, that belt coming off.
Man, I remember that sound.
Oh, God. But then it got to where all he had to do was touch the belt buckle. He could look at me, touch his belt buckle, and like, no,
run into the other room.
And by the way, don't accept that as like abuse or anything. That was just, I was a knothead kid, and every once in a while it was just the good solid discipline of my dad. Anyway, all right, plenty of stuff. All right, coming right back. Oh wait, what did Scott from Athens say? Is this AI or did conspiracy theorists score another notch? And I can't open it yet, so I don't know, man. You're scaring me. All right. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, coming right up. My favorite time every single week, Boomer McQueen. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right, covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. That would be Alabama. I'm talking about this show broadcast its signal way on down south of Birmingham, up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, thrown in just for good measure. All right, it is that time. It is that time. It is that time that I love every week. So Boomer's here every day. Like I'm not tired of you or anything, but you're here every day.
I'm just here.
But then we have your better three-quarters shows up with us once a week, and that would be the lovely McQueen. Welcome to the studio, McQueen. Applause, please, Boomer, if you will.
Applause.
Yes, thank you very much.
Shucks, y'all. It's great to be here.
All right, we do this segment. We call it Boomer and McQueen, where I ask them questions, get their perspectives. Sometimes they ask me questions, and we got to start with the whoop whoop. So hit it. All right, you guys. You know the deal. I'm going to throw a question at you. I want y'all's unvarnished. Keep in mind we have to keep it civil. This FCC violations and all that. Your unvarnished opinions, which don't even have to jibe with mine. I just love hearing them. All right. So here's my first question, just straight out the gate. What are your top two concerns for today's United States, and how do we address them? Top two concerns. Who goes first here?
I'll go.
Well,
There we go. She's ready.
I'm going to sit back.
I'll just let her talk the whole time.
No, I don't got that in me. I just was at the zoo all day. I'm exhausted. Well, if you would have asked me this last week, it may have been a little different answer. But right now, with all this recent stuff going on this week with like the UN changing the age of minors to be consent for all that stuff right now makes me livid. It is horrifying.
They're basically legalizing pedophilia.
Yes, and they're saying it's just love. Love is love, and it's like the grossest, most disturbing thing in the world. That fires me up. So, that's something I always feel very strongly and passionately about. Human trafficking, and I know that's not just minors that we're talking about there, but especially with in light of it, all that's coming out this week, how they keep making it, then decriminalizing it. Just recently, they were, decriminalizing any, just like sexual predators, and then to next go to this. Oh my goodness, it's so scary to think what's going to happen next, and with. Oh, yeah. So that right now, to me, I think is such a huge problem because we also see how quickly things escalate.
So second half of the question, though, was what do we do about it?
Oh, shoot.
Like you're sitting around with a bunch of friends, your small group at church, whatever the case may be, you bring this up, and someone says, we got to do something. What is that? What do you do?
Gosh, I don't know. What do we do, Phil? Tell us what to do. Let's fix this.
No, it doesn't work that way. I'm asking you the questions right now.
It's your question.
That's right.
Oh, I don't even quite know where to start. This is something even when we moved here a year ago, I sat and talked with an officer heavily involved in human trafficking because I want to get involved and be able to make a difference because I think so many things like this, so often we want to stop it, but we don't know how. We don't know how to be like boots on the ground and... Gosh, well, I'll say my second reason or second thing that I think the U.S., because it kind of ties into this, that the U.S. or that we need major reform, and it's just the especially liberal government that's able to get away with so many things, and there's no, checks and balances with it. And I feel like, it's same with just like the sexual predators here. What we do about it, I'm not sure because I feel like they just keep shutting us down, and it's hard to have a voice. So.
I think part of the answer is you're doing it right now. All right.
Talking about it.
Yeah, you're actually talking about it,
mm-hmm.
and don't for a second think that doesn't matter because there are people who have a misgiving, but they don't know how to put words to it, and then you define the misgiving for them. They're like, yeah, that's what I've been feeling,
mm-hmm.
and the next thing you know, y'all are talking about it, and then 2 people become 4, and then 4 people become 8,
yeah.
and then you wind up having an opportunity to get involved.
And definitely having that strength in numbers, it makes it a lot easier to stand up against something like this because this is it's a tough thing to fight, it really is,
yeah.
Especially when so much of it is under the radar and it just isn't talked about.
And there's groups out there doing things that you can
mm-hmm.
get involved in. Like we had Jared Hudson, Boomer, we were in studio.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an entire organization dedicated to fighting human trafficking,
mm-hmm.
and they're doing stuff,
yeah,
like boots on the ground stuff. All right, Boomer, it's on you, Bubba. What you got? Your 2 top concerns about today's United States, and what do we do about it?
I'm going to go on the route of my concerns are how our government is kind of downplaying all these giant issues that are going on in our country, like the whole wokeness that's going on. They're like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
This is how we're supposed to be.
Nothing
we're
to see
supposed
here.
to include everyone in this nature. The transgenders are supposed to have all this blah stuff, and then then they're pushing things on us, which I don't agree with. Where I believe, yes, there should be freedom of businesses when they
Commerce?
The free market.
free market. There should be free market, but why are you trying to push something on us when a lot of people don't want it?
Like what? Like electric vehicles?
Like
that
electric
kind of stuff?
vehicles, or then the transgender stuff in schools, and then the gun control stuff, the Second Amendment stuff.
So what
there's
do we
just
do about
over
it?
and over. I think, well, one, I think you've said this multiple times on the show. It took a Carter to bring us Reagan, right?
Yeah.
And so we
He
need to
does
get out
listen,
there.
McQueen.
I do
No,
listen.
I'm like, he's taking notes over there. He comes home and like says, "Look at all these notes I took on the show today. Look what I learned."
So the biggest thing is one, what y'all just said. I think we need to talk and
Yeah.
be like outspoken about it, and then like also don't hide under a bush. I'm not saying go riot like the left does. I'm not saying that. I'm saying stand up for what you believe in, and then go vote. Because if we hide under something, and if you do not go vote, that means you did not put your voice in.
You didn't do your
exactly
part.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do your part.
I totally agree with both of you on those things. I had a friend that I worked with once, and she was very liberal. We knew each other's beliefs were different, but she told me one time that not voting was her silent form of protest. And I looked at her and I said, "Well, then you're stuck with whatever you get, and you have no right to complain."
Right.
Yeah. All right. Good. Hey. All right. Cool. All right. Next question. Just the opposite. What is your sense of the best thing about today's United States, and how do we preserve it? So, So I don't want to sit here and dwell on the negative. Obviously, this show is not going to be the gripe session. So let's look at the flip side. We got a lot to be thankful for, but what in your mind stands out as one of the best things about today's United States, and how do we preserve that? Who's going first this time?
Well, there's just in my head right now, because of all the stuff that has just been going on. There's a lot of negatives, but the positive,
Exactly.
The positive is there are those people out there that are standing up for what they believe in, like all of our government officials on the right side.
Yeah.
But we got to get behind them and rally behind them. Exactly what I was saying before, just like we were talking about like voting and standing up for what you believe in. We need to stand up and rally around behind those people that are trying to, make a difference in those political. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the word.
I know exactly what you're
Statuses.
talking about. You're spot on. We said on the show multiple times because too often conservatives, we have a tendency to eat our own, right?
Right.
And or shoot our wounded, and instead of nursing them back to health. The reality is, when someone does something right, it doesn't matter whether you like what they did yesterday. If they nailed it today, tell them they nailed it today, man, and then rally up behind it. Or when they take a stand. Like this dude, what was his name? Michael Knowles, that went up to Pitt to give that speech and got shouted off the campus almost. He needs to know there's people out there that are willing to, stand up for him.
Or
for doing it.
is it the swimmer that
Riley
now?
Gaines.
Yes,
Yep.
she is now standing up for
San Francisco, yeah.
yes for that transgender in sports. I mean, we got to rally behind her and say, hey, we're behind you. You're not alone.
Yeah, that's huge, and we don't. In fact, it's gotten so easy to just gripe and to listen to conservative news talk and just gripe, or get mad, or they're all corrupt. I got nothing good to say about any of them. Yes, you do. If you stop and think about it, you really
do.
do. And how about getting behind the ones who are doing the right thing?
Absolutely.
All right, your turn. What you got?
Yeah, and I think kind of going off of that, because of the people that are making a stand and doing something about it, and they're using their voice and standing up for what they believe. And I do feel like there is a lot of exposure of just, government mismanagement coming to the surface. Like we're seeing a lot of that right now coming out, where I feel like it's been very hidden in the past, because I feel like more people are picking up the rock and looking under it and seeing what there's more here. Let's not just speculate and keep it to ourselves, but do something about it. And I think it makes people assume that, or not just assume, oh, the government's is working for the good of all of us. I mean, that's not always the case. We want to think so, but I think there needs to be more of those, questions happening. And I think because you have more people that are willing to go out on a limb and stand up and say, wait a minute, like this is not right, or this is not okay. We're seeing some of those changes, which hopefully will just lead to more.
Did she label a good thing, or did she just talk? I'm not sure what happened.
She just goes off on a rampage.
What was the question again?
Does that happen at home a lot too?
She just starts talking, and then it's like, wait, did you answer the question?
I'm good with words.
All right, bro, take us to the break. We'll do it right now. We'll come right back and head off into the second round of Boomer McQueen. And this is where they flip the script and ask me a question. I have no idea what's coming. All right, folks. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio with Boomer and McQueen. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Oh, man, making it cool to be a conservative. Okay, we're with Boomer and McQueen. Hit those whoop-whoops.
He wasn't ready for it.
All right, we're with Boomer and McQueen right now. We just spent time me asking them questions to get their perspective on stuff. And then the last part, we flipped the script and they asked me questions about stuff. Who's doing the first question?
I'm ready.
Is that you? Yeah. All right, Miss McQueen. I'm bracing myself. What do you got?
I know stuff came
out. She knows stuff, Boomer.
She knows stuff.
She knows words.
Oh man, but stuff came out with like just the Biden probe and stuff with Hunter today and all sorts of just all the fraudulent stuff that's going on. So what is your take? Explain that to us. What's going on?
My take is they are corrupt as crap, and someone's got to go to jail.
Amen. Do you have some pull there? Let's make that happen.
So I was talking to a guy who knows a guy. You know what I'm saying? So so the thing that just happened, by the way, in the last 24 hours, it has come out that a high level. They're calling this person a high level IRS supervisor. I believe what they refer to the person as. Is a whistleblower. Being given whistleblower status means that you're protected. You can't be prosecuted. You can't be put in jail for stepping outside of your workplace and saying things that are happening in your workplace that shouldn't have been happening. So this person works for the IRS and says they have absolute evidence that the Biden administration and the Biden Department of Justice has been interfering in the investigation of Hunter Biden. And that's caused a complete stinkroll right now. I mean, like this investigation was already finding bank records. It was already finding that, I want to say 9 members of the Biden family had all received money from foreign governments. Actual bank records now. But now we have an IRS, because what's happened is Hunter Biden's making all this money. Well, is he actually claiming it on his taxes like real people are supposed to do, right? It's income. Allegedly, he's doing a job. You can't see air quotes on the radio, but I've got air quotes going. Suddenly his job has got lots of money and his family's getting lots of money. Did he report it on his taxes? And the evidence appears to be no, he didn't. And so that's why the IRS is involved. And they're saying that there's been deliberate tampering to help slow roll and help Hunter. And that's coming out right now. Like today, the top head, there it is right there on the top headline. So what happened is this. I've always said in politics, if you're having to answer what they're saying about you, then you're really just dancing to their tune. So right now this one came out and made so many waves in D.C., the Biden administration felt the need to have to address it.
They're already speaking on it.
They're already speaking on it. I mean, within hours, they're speaking.
Man.
They won't come and meet with the shooting victims and their families in Nashville. But they will definitely talk about Hunter Biden's being
they're going to defend themselves. Yeah.
So that's the latest. Listen, there is so much smoke, and I'm not one of those that goes, he's guilty because I say so. But I look at this thing and think, all right, man, you can't make all that money off your daddy's name right after you flew on Air Force Two to the foreign country and threw his name around and made millions for doing things you're not qualified to do, while you're also a crack addict and sleeping with hookers and getting videos put of yourself out on social media. This can't all be legit and stay legit. It's just not. I'm there.
So what's going to happen next?
In that? Let's pick up the magic 8 ball. It says somebody's backside's going to jail. What's going to happen next? I don't know. One of the things that's been so frustrating to everybody in conservative land is that they seem to be like made of Teflon. They always escape.
Yeah.
They always it always rolls off. And this one does not need to roll off. The very idea that Trump is indicted over something that didn't happen. And impeached for things that didn't happen, and has members of his own administration reporting, well, I heard a phone call with Ukraine and I felt like it was heavily influenced. No, what? And then this is all gonna happen, and there's gonna be no recourse.
Yeah,
that can't be. We've got to find some measure. At the very least, what's going to happen next is the fact that Republicans control the flow in the House means they're allowed to use subpoena power to get records and just make them public. And even if Hunter never goes to jail, And Joe Biden just keeps, eating ice cream and skipping along thinking that he's in the real world. Even if all these things just don't unfold into someone going to jail, the world needs to see and hear as much as we can see and hear about what they've been trying to hide.
Absolutely.
There's that. All right, you got an easier question for me?
Yeah, I'm going to lighten the mood. I'm going to pull Adele Jackson.
Oh, what do you got?
So Trump released his digital trading cards again, like a couple days ago.
What? Did he really?
Yes, and he made, just a little bit of money, like $4.6 million.
In like 24-hour period or something?
Something like that. And so my question to you is, when you release your digital trading card of yourself in Rightside Radio, how would you portray yourself on your digital trading card? And then also, question is not only for you, but also the listeners. If you could put Phil on any digital trading card, what would it be? Please text it in.
Oh my God.
He's trying to get brownie points.
I'm saying, God. Well, first of all, I don't see me doing a digital trading card of myself. But if I did, what would I do? I think the digital trading card of me.
Possibilities are endless.
It's going to be me. It's going to be me wearing a Captain America suit.
Yes.
Parachuting in, riding a jackass just real hard.
There you go.
That's right. It's exactly what's going to happen. Just whooping up on some liberal jackassery while I wear my Captain America suit, parachuting into the drop zone. There you go.
Man.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
And I want it to be.
You'll have the shield, right? You got to have the shield. I mean, that's part of it. Yes. Okay.
Captain America.
And
Just making sure.
And I also want it to be in like shiny metallic.
Oh, okay.
There
you go.
Got to have the aesthetics correct.
You have to have this
with the sun behind me.
You're about to get like a painting sent to you here real soon.
Oh my God,
that would be awesome.
I'm just saying. Alicia needs to not get the mail anytime soon. All right, you guys.
Oh man,
love you both.
That was the best.
Boomer, you did good, man, marrying this one. So
she's pretty awesome.
There's that. All right, McQueen, thank you very much. As always, the lovely McQueen joining us in studio for my favorite segment of every single week, Boomer McQueen.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Hit the whoop whoops on the way out.
The whoop whoops on the way out.
Yeah, just gotta have it. All right, we're coming right back, and I'm going to only number 2 on the Triple Dipper now.
Only number 2.
Yeah,
y'all are cruising.
So this one is carnivore's rule. Don't serve me any fried bugs. Carnivores, that's what I am. You guys stay tuned. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Hey, Boomer, by the way, Steve from Madison just texted in and says, you need Rightside Radio challenge coins.
Oh,
I think there's something afoot on that.
Oh, there is.
just so you know, the coins have already, the idea is getting out there, man.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
Hey, okay, so some of the listeners were texting in about your awesome, collection cards. Yes.
No.
So we got Rita from Scottsboro, Alabama.
No.
Yeah, she said, I love you, Phil, but the shiny suit on a playing card is going to make you look like a snowflake. Just saying.
I didn't say, you forced me into describing this. I didn't.
You didn't have time to think it.
Yeah, come on.
But then Paul from Huntsville, he goes, Captain Ruffian with a big old R on the shield.
See, now I'm digging it now.
Yeah, see? Right inside the star. Yeah.
There's more. Gosh. Who else texted in? Anything about the anything else about that? I got. Oh my gosh! So John from Brownsboro has texted in and says, well, "What do you say here? As much as the Wokies try to save all the animals, are they willing to commit genocide of the cows? Are they let them go with a population explosion? We're going to be. Oh, so he's talking about the meat thing that I'm about to do. Yeah. Leanne from Huntsville. Girl, I cannot tell what you're trying to tell me. So so Leanne from Huntsville, I love you. You texting all the time, but I can't decipher you on this one. So if you want to send back another text, I might be able to read it out. What do we got here? Bryant from Huntsville.
This was good.
Bryant?
Yes.
Yeah, Bryant from Huntsville just said, he was talking about the thing we just did a minute ago on Boomer McQueen, where I asked him, like, what are the positives about today's U.S.? What are the negatives about today's U.S.? How do we fix the negatives and preserve the positives? He says, Bryant from Huntsville says, one positive of today's America, there's still more of us than there are of them. And we just have to keep proving it by voting and speaking out. That fires me up.
I love it.
That fires me up right there. That's good stuff, man. Brett from Muscle Shoals. He says, that's Rush Limbaugh. He said, Rush said it best years ago. If you are under 30 and not a liberal, you're not using your heart. But if you're over 30 and still a liberal, you aren't using your head. God bless Rush Limbaugh. He paved the way. By the way, the fact that Rush Limbaugh passed away is exactly what is the reason why Rightside Radio was able to start. Not that I'm saying I wanted him to pass away, because I grew up listening to his show, so to speak. I say grew up. That's the very first one who ever gave me the ability to sort of grab hold of how I thought and felt about things and put words to it. But the way this all started for me, Rightside Radio, was Dale Jackson called me one day and he goes, hey, man, he says, Rush Limbaugh passed away. And I went, yeah, you all right? He goes, yeah, but I got to fill 3 hours here at WVNN. And I was like, okay. And he goes, we want you to do a radio show. And I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And now here we are, pushing 2 years on the air, #1 afternoon talk show in North Alabama, and just loving this. So very cool. Jeff from Indiana is texting in and says, you need some right side trading cards like Trump has. That's what Boomer was asking me, Jeff. He was literally asking me, if you did your own card, what would be on it? And we were spoofing that idea. I just don't think I could do that, Jeff. Just first, unless it's going to make $4.6 million, in which case, get me some of that AI and generate me a card.
We'll generate a few cards with that AI for you if we're going to get 4.6.
JT from Lacey Springs says, my cape would have to have the image of Thunderfoot on it. Yes, my 68 Mustang named Thunderfoot that I still miss to this day. All right, we're going to get into number 2 of the Triple Dipper. Did I have a caller? Is there a caller? No? Okay. It's funny how some people just call in. They just talk to you for a minute and just, go on again. But all right, number 2, Triple Dipper. Carnivores rule. So I had, when I worked at the Pentagon, we had an office, and it was broken down into sections, and there were signs on the wall. One of the signs said herbivores. one side said omnivores and the other said carnivores. And so, the guys who sat back in the carnivore section thought they were all that. But here's the deal. Number 2 of the Triple Dipper, I'm calling it Carnivore's Rule. First of all, I like to eat meat. Just saying. I like some bacon. I like the other night I had some grilled mesquite pork chops. Yeah. I love me a steak. Come on now. Fix you a big old, hand-slapped patty of big old thick hamburger on a big old bun. I'm just saying. I'm a carnivore. Well, so starting off, I will tell you this. There is a push right now to try and get us away from meat. Why? Why would that be? Where do they think that, natural things like protein and iron all come from? Red meat, thank you very much. McDonald's, Fox Business has a story that came out yesterday. McDonald's fries have a secret flavor, and it was shared on TikTok, and it shocks the customers. Boomer, can you imagine? What, pray tell, would you think would be the secret flavoring that makes McDonald's fries so good for so many years?
Oh, the secret flavoring?
Yes, they have a secret flavor.
I'm gonna go bison something.
Well, no, that's a little more specific than I was thinking. But no, beef. They add beef flavoring to their vegetable oil that they fry them in.
Really?
They do. And so this guy on TikTok has a thing where he gets the world's like American restaurants' secrets and discloses them on TikTok. It's his big thing. People go to his website to find out secrets about food. And one of his secrets was he says, I know why McDonald's fries taste different than anybody else's, and I'm going to tell you guys today. Uploaded. Millions of his followers found out that beef flavoring is in McDonald's fries.
Ooh.
And vegetarians are having a complete meltdown right now.
Oh, I'm sure
because they thought they were eating a vegetable, a fried potato, and it had beef flavoring in it.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know why? Because it's good.
Exactly.
And I guarantee you all those vegetarian leftist wacko just ate their French fries feeling so good about themselves and thinking, these are the best French fries I've ever had. Don't you think so? Yes, I do. These are wonderful. Wait, what's in them? Beef flavoring. All right. So around the world right now, we are seeing this weird new dynamic trying to push back on the idea of eating meat. It's everything from cows and pigs flatulating make too much methane, and so it's hurting the ozone layer and causing climate change. Whatever. It's every day it's a new conspiracy theory about why meat is bad for us. Well, how about this? In New York City, have you heard this? In New York City, the mayor of New York City, Mayor Adams, he's apparently a somewhat consistent vegetarian. He is of the belief that more people, I don't know how he has sway over what kids have for lunch, but the mayor is facing some big issues up yonder in the Big Apple. Things like crime and poverty and homelessness. Tourism is taking a hit. But his concern right now is whether or not we're going to start having vegan lunches in the public schools, and the students are not happy. They're just not. So, Boomer, when you were in high school, you ate in the cafeteria.
Oh, yeah.
I know you did because I know what cafeteria it was. you were, by the way, part of the group that helped save the Crispito, weren't you?
Yes. That was awesome.
A student movement to save the Crispito. Movement. Is there meat in a Crispito?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You basically saved the meat lunch. All right. So one student says she totally disagrees with the new vegan Friday lunch policy in place for the rest of the school year. She goes, this is not a priority. This is the student saying this after looking at the vegan lunch offering that she was being given. I mean, like when you give kids a platter that has an apple and some Brussels sprouts and, a little limp salad on there. I mean, how satisfying.
Filling in that little green can right outside the door, right when you walk out. Bloop, bloop.
Yeah, exactly. One student reported that many of them won't even eat those lunches. Instead, they'll just wait until they're out of school for their day and eat.
Yep.
Yeah. The vegan meals don't make them feel satisfied, they said. Yeah. Eating meat is not a bad thing, one student said. You need protein. Well, Mayor Adams is pleading. Please don't force. They're pleading with Mayor Adams, I'm sorry. Please don't force me to eat this. Invest more money in the schools. So there's that. You got to get official things happening to try and drive us away from meat. But when we get back, I'm going to touch base on this new trend. And by the way, NPR wants to call it a conspiracy theory about whether or not this is really happening. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening right now. I got a story here that talks about the fact that 58% of world leaders believe that they can see a future where we eat bugs and not beef. I'm sorry. I am not happy with that prognostication. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, where carnivores rule. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, making it cool to be a conservative. Hey, I got to tell you guys, so if you have not already heard me say it many, many, many times, because they've been with us for a long, long time, ZLA Solutions. If you're looking for a job right now, y'all, I'm just telling you, go to their website, check it out, ZLA Solutions at zlausa.com. Check it out. They've got jobs posted everywhere. Good jobs. They're great at putting people and jobs together. But here's the other piece of this. If you are an employer and you need people, you need to fill out the ranks of your workforce. You need the right ones with the right skills. It can be onesies and twosies, or it can be a whole shift of people. Well, ZLA Solutions can help you. They can do the recruiting, the drug testing, the background checks, all of it if necessary. They can get them, I like to always say, blue collar, white collar, no collar, it don't matter. That's ZLA Solutions at zlausa.com. And do me a favor, tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio. I would really appreciate that. All right, I got a caller who hung on during the break, and I want to honor that. Lee from Huntsville. Hey, Lee, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. What's on your mind?
Well, we're talking about the beef and especially, or, probably all animal products eventually in school lunches and in just how they're trying to guide us away from eating meat and more towards the plant sources. Well, number one, it's cost. Always cost.
Oh, yeah.
It's money. It's cheaper, way cheaper, but nutritionally much less, but it's just nutritionally deficient if you don't have any type of meat sources in milk, in my opinion. And if they get these meat substitutes that they like to add in, those are just as processed as like real processed food. They are not good for you. People eating these plant-based burgers and think they're being healthy. You're not. You're not being healthy.
No, I tried one of those one time just to say that I did. I was not impressed, and like I said, I tried it one time. So.
Yeah, they're just okay. They're just really okay, but they're not. I mean, and some of them are bad. But the thinking is that you're doing something good. You're not, because it takes energy and it's very highly processed. It's like eating chips. It's not good for you. Plus a lot of them have soy, which will shrink a man's bits, and you don't want that. You eat too much of it.
What did she just say to me?
I just say no. I did. It's the truth.
Okay.
We don't need any more soy boys, in the world. We have plenty.
Well, you are correct, my friend, and I'm a firm believer that carnivores probably ruled the earth since the time that God put this earth in rotation around the sun. This is a misguided effort, but right now they can't resist. They tamper with things, and then they use it for policy making. You've seen that. Like, hey, if you don't implement the transgender agenda, we're going to stop sending you money to buy free and reduced lunches for kids.
Exactly. They want to hold a lot of that money hostage from us. But if you want to think about it, if men are out of their order, if they are not acting like men, if they're acting like, if men are trying to act like women and women are acting like watered-down men, it's crazy and confusion. But if men are not in their rightful place and they're eating things that cause a disruption in their system, it just makes it's a disruption for all of us. And I personally think that's the agenda.
Well, all right. There you have it. Lee from Huntsville. Appreciate you as always. All right. Wow. That's so all the more reason to eat meat is what I've just heard. Soy boys. I don't think I ever realized what that really meant. I thought it was like somebody who's like wearing skinny jeans and drinking the soy latte all the time at Starbucks. I didn't know what it was. Okay, now I got a whole new perspective. Thank you, my friend Lee. But so the story right here in Alabama, by the way, they will mess with school lunches. They will. This is a story from WSFA, which is a station down yonder in the Montgomery area. They took this one out of Elmore County. It says the U.S. Department of Agriculture proposed several changes. This story came out last month. Proposed several changes to school nutrition standards. If implemented, it would reduce the amount of sugar and sodium in food and require more foods made of whole grains and the types of milk that are used. It would also require more lean proteins, fruits and vegetables. No, I'm sorry. It would take away from their ability to provide those kind of things. So all said and done, Elmore County Schools Director of Child Nutrition, she said she's worried about this proposal because here they are forcing us from the national level down how we can feed our kids. And she says if the government implements these new rules, then school meal distributors are going to need to change all the products they offer to schools. And you know what's going to wind up happening? It gets more expensive. And she even said on here, it would get more expensive. It'd be cost prohibitive. Said the Elmore County schools right now can only budget about $4 per student per meal. How much meat do you get for $4 per meal? I mean, you're down to having the little piece of cube steak about the size of a quarter. What is cube steak, by the way? That shouldn't even happen. Anyway, but nonetheless, and she points out that every time they make these changes, it creates a complete supply chain disruption. So yeah, we don't need them forcing. That's right here in Alabama. We don't need them forcing the issue on us about how to feed our kids. But I've got a story here from a website called fastcompany.com. The headline, and by the way, you know, I got to say, I haven't said it yet today. If you want to see any of these resources, you hear me rattle the paper? Every one of these is now available to you. Every day we resource the show pretty intensively. We got all these articles that stack up for each dipper, and they are posted on the website. So you can go to the rightsideradio.org website, go to the live stream page, and right there at the very top, there's a button that says resources. You click on that bad boy, and if I'm in Triple Dipper number 2 and you hear me rattle the pages, there's a link to that article. You can go get it if you want it and sort of check up on what I've been reading or send it to a friend or whatever you want to do. Fastcompany.com has a story came out about 60 days ago. It says when New York City public schools stopped serving meat on Mondays and Fridays, 2 days a week. It's not vegan Fridays. It's vegan Mondays and Fridays.
Come on.
For the love.
Fridays used to be like pizza day.
Yeah. Yeah. It was square pizza.
Yeah, the square pizza.
The square
Bring
pizza.
It back.
Big sloppy square pizza.
Oh, yes.
And then if you were lucky, you could get some ranch dip to go with it too. Yeah, baby. I loved
that square pizza was the best.
So when I was a kid, the two meals that I loved the most were the day you had square pizza with tater tots, or you had hamburger with tater tots, both of which involve meat. And now we got a break.
Now we got a break. Talking about pizza.
I'll come right back with this. Why some public schools are introducing vegan meals on the sly is the headline. You guys stay tuned. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back. And we're back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state. I said the most, Belvedere, I say the most beautiful state in the world, boy. And that's the state of Alabama. And this show broadcasts itself way on down south of Birmingham, up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to gas parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi. Thrown in just for good measure. All right. Moving along here, I got to tell you before I go any further, though, the Elm Foundation. So one of our new advertising sponsors is the Elm Foundation. ELM, it stands for Expect Little Miracles. You got to check them out, y'all. Go to their website, take a look, elmhsv.org, because it's like Elm Huntsville, elmhsv.org. They are literally a 501c3 out there in the trenches making people's lives better. Their goal is to help folks become far more productive and to get off the streets, if you will, and to find a way to develop job skills and the ability to plug into society again and become productive. And they do it not just by throwing money at it like the government does. They actually walk people through the program. I mean, they'll be right there beside them, giving them accountability, checking in on them, making sure they're hitting their milestones. And so I just want to encourage you, check them out. Elm Foundation, ELMHSV, as in Elm Huntsville, elmhsv.org. And by the way, they are a 501c3. If you were ever to donate to them, every dollar you give goes to the programs because they already have one benefactor who has made sure that they have no administrative costs. All that's covered already. So any dollar that's given to them as a charitable organization goes straight to what they do. And this is very cool. All right, folks, check them out, Elm Foundation at elmhsv.org. And if you talk to them, tell them you did hear about this on Rightside Radio, which I got to say, before I jump back into my topic, because I got a fun one here. Before I jump back into my topic, like when I'm telling you about our advertisers, if you want to advertise your business, and we've had quite a few inquiries lately, but if you want to advertise your business on Rightside Radio, if you believe that we are hitting the mark and that we stand for the same things you stand for, please understand we are a separate standalone business, all right? We're a 501c3 ourselves, and we raise money based on things like ad sales. So yeah, we would love to talk to you, and the very simple way for you to handle getting your advertising on Rightside Radio is go to our website, rightsideradio.org, and click on the place where it says advertising and contacts, send us a message, and we will jump right on it. That's happened at least 4 times in the last few days, Boom, wouldn't you say? I mean, just, yeah, easily.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Yeah. And we can make it happen. So you just let us know. We're broadcasting over half the state. Why not? I'm in this number 2 of the Triple Dipper, Carnivores Rule. I've got this article. It's up on the resources. You can find it. By the way, it looks like it's going to be a double dipper day. Just saying. I was pretty proud of yesterday, got all 3 dippers in, plus guests and the Grand Council and everything. But today's been so good, it's been a double dipper day. Fastcompany.com, which I've never been to their stuff before, but they've got some pretty good stuff. Here's the headline: Why some public schools are introducing vegan meals on the sly. That got my attention. Where's the meat? Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Well, it says when New York City public schools stopped serving meat on Mondays and Fridays, and New York City public hospitals made vegan meals the default option for patients. The default option? You're trying to get them better and they can't have anything with meat in it? All right, anyway. The city touted the health benefits, but programs like these... All right, wait a minute. Let me back up. Boomer, if you had to guess, what is your opinion on what the little sub-reasoning is, the underlying reason for taking meat out of schools and hospitals?
Ooh, the underlying reason?
Yes. What is the secret agenda? What are they trying to accomplish here?
Actually, I had a really good idea earlier, but now that you're putting me on the spot, I forgot what it was. Let's see. The underlying reason. Let's go with... I got nothing. I don't know.
Climate change.
What? Climate? No, seriously? I think I'm going with climate change.
Climate change is everything, man.
Climate change?
Climate change is all God's children deal with climate change. So we got to take away the pond on your your farm. We got to take the hamburger off your children's lunch plate. We got to make sure that you don't have a gas stove. We got to make sure that you can't drive your Ford F-150 anymore. It's climate change, dude.
Oh, I just was gonna say maybe they just someone else wanted to hog all the beef for themselves. I don't know.
Did you say hog and beef in one?
Hog and beef.
So does that mean we can't have turducken anymore? For you ever heard of turducken?
Turducken.
I've never wanted the turducken.
Okay.
But a turducken is apparently it's when you stuff a turkey with a duck and then stuff the duck with, I believe, bacon, and you bake it all together or something like that.
Whoa.
It's a little ridiculous. I'd break out in the meat sweats right there. But
That would be.
I'd be 3 bites in, breaking out in the meat sweats.
Man.
All right. So anyway, back to my article. Dadgummit. All right. Back to my article. So yeah, programs like these, like taking the meat out of schools, taking the meat out of hospitals, programs like these, the article says, could also play an important role in fighting climate change, according to a recent report. Yeah. It says the report looked at what it called super leverage points that can trigger large societal change to benefit the climate. So yeah, so when here's the deal. When you have mass servings of foods, where do you go? Well, restaurants sell their products, so you're not going to get it there. But if you can change the places where people get their food as a part of a service already provided, like in school, like in hospitals, if you can take meat off the plates, you have just triggered what they call a super leverage point, a large potential for societal change because you're affecting a lot of people at one time. You're even potentially, sort of stemming the tide of the supply chain. And it leads to what they call a tipping point in mass adoption. In the UK, it says the government spends nearly $3 billion on food, and a shift in public purchasing could double the market for plant-based proteins. Here's what the activist says. Most people develop an appetite for animal meat when they're young, before kids even understand where meat comes from. So by introducing plant-based options, we begin to shape those eating habits early. That's what they want to do. They want to shape us.
That's the key.
Because it's climate change.
Oh, boy.
Says this company this activist works for has designed 2 custom products for schools, plant-based versions of beef patties and chicken nuggets. First of all, you don't deserve to call them beef patties and chicken nuggets if they have no beef and no chicken. Can I just say truth in advertising, please? Don't call them that. It says, but climate change, any shift away from meat matters. In the U.S., if everyone just ate 25% less meat, 25% less meat, emissions could be cut by more than 80 million tons a year. And then John Kerry could fly in his jet feeling guilt-free. Just saying. Other studies suggest that to have any chance of meeting our climate goals, I don't have climate goals, by the way.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I'm for bacon.
Definitely.
Any chance to meet our climate goals, the food systems and the diets need to transform. Shifting to clean energy and electric vehicles and other tech is just not enough on its own, the activists say. They need the meat. Bunch of soy boys out there with their bits shrinking. That's what I just learned. If you're a soy boy, your bits are shrinking. Gives a whole new meaning to kibbles and bits right there.
Oh, yes.
Many school districts are adding more plant-based options, it says, though they're taking different approaches. Austin schools, go figure, Austin schools in Texas don't have fully meatless days, but they do offer a vegetarian option, like bean burritos. You got to know, I'm just going to say right now, the worst thing you could do to a bunch of teenage boys,
Give them bean burritos.
give them bean burritos and send them back to class.
Man, an enclosed class. Man, that's just not good.
Yeah. Coming up next, you're going to be taking your math exam. How's that algebra working out for you? I don't know. They serve bean burritos, and we couldn't even think in there.
Those test scores would be all over the place.
Oh, I'm crying. Okay. All right. Notably, it says they've avoided products like Impossible Burgers because they contain coconut oil, and the district is nut-free. Is coconut oil considered a nut? All I know is apparently there are a lot of nuts there. That's all I got to say.
That's a lot.
This is ridiculous. Carnivores rule. I'm a carnivore and proud of it, by the way. That's right. I'm a freaking predator carnivore. Thank you very much. So it moves into the final section that we'll cover as soon as we get back about how the liberals think it's a conspiracy. They're trying, right wing activists even mentioning that the one of them is a white supremacist, are trying to portray that there's some conspiracy out there to make us eat bugs and to get away from beef. Well, I got news. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're trying to get us to eat bugs. Carnivores unite. We got to stand up. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Wrapping up dipper number 2 on the triple dipper, so it's going to be a double dipper day. And that's all right, because double dipper days mean we just had a lot of content in the first 2. But nonetheless, I'm in carnivores rule, number 2 of the triple dipper. So carnivores do rule, but there's a movement right now, and of course, it's tied to climate change. Of course it is. I mean, everything in the world's tied to climate change, right? All God's children got a piece of that climate change. Everybody needs some of that climate change. What you got over there? I don't know. What do you? It looks like you got a problem with climate change. So here's the deal. The way they move you off of this is either A, develop fake meat, or they find an alternative. And right now, the big push is for freaking bugs. They want you to eat bugs. Well, now, NPR, take that for what it's worth. Phil, did you go to NPR? I did. NPR has an article that came out just about 2 weeks ago. It says how a conspiracy theory about eating bugs made its way to international politics. So they want to downplay this like it's not really out there, like it's not really a thing. But they start off this, and you can imagine the NPR voice, a conspiracy theory that claims governments are trying to enslave people. So anyway, they say enforce them to eat bugs has made the leap from online message boards to national politics. Anyway, it points out that there are like elected officials in the Netherlands and Poland accusing their opponents of plotting to force people to eat insects. And they go on to talk about how Michael Knowles from Daily Wire was saying this is about to happen. And then they talk about how part of this started because somebody on Twitter, who was, by the way, a white nationalist, posted something about eating bugs. Of course, it's got to be white nationalist. But the thing is named after a World Economic Forum initiative, by the way, that was launched in mid-2020. The Great Reset, where they talk about things like this. And I will end with this. God. It's a conspiracy theory, NPR says. And yet, article from studyfinds.org says that while most people would pass on an insect lollipop or cricket chips, there's a new study out that suggests that people are going to start rethinking these options when they consider the number of benefits that insects bring. Because the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has now called for increased efforts towards destigmatizing insect consumption. No, there's just a conspiracy theory. There's not really any effort being put into getting it. Well, when you got the United Nations, who, by the way, just pretty much said they want to legalize pedophilia the other day, when you got the United Nations out there calling for the destigmatization of insect consumption, sort of tells you something's up. So they did this survey, and they find that 38% say the idea just grosses them out. 15% say it's not a part of their culture, they don't intend to start. And 9% said they had concerns about the safety of it. Other people said if they were in a restaurant and they got served up an opportunity to eat bugs, they just passed. 73% of them said they just passed. But it goes on to say scientists are hopeful that people will become open-minded over time, and that 50% of respondents did believe that with the right information, they might find this to be a sustainable food for the future. Oh, look, there's that word that we love in climate change arena, sustainable. Last I checked, we've been on the earth for a long time, and cows haven't gone out of style. Pigs are still here. I can still catch fish. Chickens are still chickens. Ain't none of them has become unsustainable. Folks, carnivores rule. I tell you what, I'm gonna wrap this thing. Do I got a call on this? I do. Is that Jeff from Indiana? Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I was doing pretty good until she got on there and told me that your happy bits on a guy get smaller if you eat soy. So yeah, I don't want to be trans unwittingly.
Put down that soy latte.
That's the way it is.
Put down that soy latte and be a man. What's wrong with you?
That's right. Yeah, I don't need any more help. That's for sure.
Well, what do you think, man? If they're coming for your meat and giving you a plate full of bugs, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think my Second Amendment might keep me in meat for a while.
Yeah,
I've got some acreage and I've got some animals, so yeah, I'm good.
And the country boy can survive, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, they can.
Oh, my gosh.
Without any help from the nitwits that think they know better.
And what I just heard a minute ago, too, by reading that one article, is that not only is it related to climate change, but that in some places you can't even use coconut oil because that's a nut. I did not know coconuts were true nuts. I thought that was just a name.
Yeah, I didn't either. But you know, it's kind of bad, you know, because if we're going to grow all these plants, that produces oxygen. Isn't that a greenhouse gas?
You know, it makes about as much sense as serving a bunch of high school kids bean burritos right before they go back to class. Just saying.
And also, you know, I think the kids in New York should say that they don't want to be forced into religion. I mean, you know, the Catholics used to not eat meat on Friday. So I think that he's trying to force religion on them maybe or something.
It's, you know, the whole thing's ridiculous. I got news. Mankind has survived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and we've been eating meat the whole time. I'm pretty sure we can continue, and the world will be all right. What do you think?
That's all I've ever eaten because I always get complained from Mom, you know, you never eat your vegetables. You never eat your vegetables. I thought, no, I like meat.
All right, man. Be safe on the road. We'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good one, Phil.
See you, buddy. Oh, man. Well, and then Sama, the truck driver, did just point out, at least y'all aren't talking about those lab-grown mammoth meatballs again.
Yeah, those mammoth meatballs, those aren't real.
Yeah, that's
lab-grown.
I think I'd rather eat bugs.
Yeah.
So they lay out for me a piece of pasty white lab-grown meat from a petri dish from the combined effects of a mammoth DNA and what was it, llama and something else.
There was a lot in there.
It's gross. Yeah. Or that's how the zombie apocalypse starts, by the way. I'm pretty sure somebody ate something grown in a lab thinking it was going to be cool and it was going to be sustainable meat to affect climate change, and they wiped out the human race with a zombie apocalypse. That's what I feel like. I've got a movie brewing in my head right now. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All that and a playing card too, with, you know, swooping in with the jackassery and all that. All right, folks. Amazing day. I mean, this has been fun. You guys stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll have more of it. Boomer and I back here at 2. You guys have an amazing night. And yeah, we do this because of y'all. Ain't no reason to be here if it weren't for you. We love this audience, and the fact that we get to be here every single day doing this with you just means the world. Because you know what? Who was it said earlier? My wife says it all the time. There are more of us than there are them. And that's true. So take heart. Know the conservative message is not being shouted down, that we're going to be solid conservative and just plain right and tell it like it is every single freaking day. And we're going to eat meat and leave the soy alone. All right, you guys have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.